everybody, thanks for watching. Now, before anybody flips out and start calling me, Afrocentric or, racist or what have you, let me first note that I have already done a video called The Problem White America Has with the African American Community. And in that video, I addressed the concerns, I addressed the issues that white America has, friends of mine as well who are white, the issues that they have stated to me that they have with the African American community. I have also debated with many racist white people. I have addressed their issues and their concerns that they have with the African American community in that video. I have addressed, both sides in that video, and that video is geared towards the problem, the issues that white America has with the African American community. And if you see in the video, it's not biased. I address the points fairly. And as I state in the video, that a lot of the points that white America has against the African American community are valid points, but it's two sides to every story. And the concerns, while legitimate, it's not the reason for the state of African Americans, as I pointed out in the video, and I backed that up with proof if you have seen that video. So this video is in no way biased. It's not racist. It's addressing the facts, and I will point out facts in this video so you can see that what I'm saying can be researched and figured out as true or not. So before you just simply think that this is just some angry black man who's mad about what have you, then I want you to go and watch that video or look at some of my other videos to understand what I speak about before you simply judge me on the title of this video, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to get a lot of thumbs down from white people who are going to just see black, and whenever a black person speaks on black history or racial issues, we are automatically deemed Afrocentric or racist or what have you. So I wanted to make that note so you can understand that this video is not being biased. I have already addressed the white issue, and now I'm addressing the African American issue. Now, of course, the problem that African Americans have with white America is not easy to see, for white people. Most white people believe that we are simply upset over slavery. We are mad about, what happened in the 60s with the whole civil rights movement. A lot of white people believe that, we are simply just mad because we are, not as far ahead as they are, that we are jealous because, they are more wealthy, they have more opportunities, and, we don't. Then you got ignorant people who think we are just lazy, violent people who trying to cheat the system, and we just mad at the government because the government's trying to stop us from doing it. But whatever the situation is, white America doesn't understand the issues, of course, because they haven't stepped in our shoes. They don't understand what we have gone through or what we are still going through as African American people. So it's hard for them to connect the dots that I'm going to, put out in this video. So now what's going to be clear by the end of this video is that, first of all, African Americans do not have a problem with white America. White America has a problem with African Americans. Now, if it seems like, African Americans have a problem with white America, it's only because we are consistently coming in defense of the problem that white America has with us. And by the end of this video, that's going to be more clear that we are more on the defense than on the offense. And the reason why it seems that we are constantly on the offense is because we are really literally on the defense. And when you are in a defensive state, you automatically, protect yourself. You have to, defend yourself. And in defense of, the continuous bombardment of racial slurs and, all of the issues that we face with the police. And, it may seem like we don't like them, when really we are just defending and being in defense mode of them not liking us. So obviously this is not, all of white America that I'm speaking towards. And I'm not sitting here saying that, you know, every single white person has a problem with black people, because we know that's not true. And I'm not saying that every single black person likes white people or doesn't have a problem with white people, because of course you got those black people out there that tell you straight up, I don't like white people. What I'm saying is, when you examine that, when you look into that person to find out, you know, why they feel that way, you'll see it's because of oppression. It's because of the history between, you know, the races. You know, you're not going to simply hate a person, you know, because they white, but we are simply hated because, you know, we are black. It's more that comes with us not liking white people than white people not liking us. We don't like white people. When that case happens, when we say we don't like them, it's because what has been done to us. They don't like us because the color of their skin or what they associate us with, which is a negative stereotype, and that has not been addressed. Our issue that we have, that I'm going to present in this video, is, you know, it's based upon a lot of factors that you and I understand as, you know, a white person, because you don't see these issues, you don't see these problems. And when we try to present these problems, it seems like, you know, we are not being taken seriously, or our problems are not being taken seriously because you simply can't fathom, you know, the issues that, you know, we face. And again, this is one of the problems that we have with the white community, is that, you know, you act like you don't see what's happening to us. You know, some white people don't, they act like that we're not going through what we're going through, that we just making this stuff up, that we somehow don't have a right to complain because, you know, we have some bad seeds amongst the group. You know, if that was the case, then we can just discount every single race on the planet, because everybody has, you know, issues with their race, and they have negative people in their race. And you can't just cut out a whole race because of a couple, you know, bad people who running around doing, you know, knucklehead shit. So just wanted to say that, put that out as like a little disclaimer, so you don't, you know, mistake what I'm saying in this video as me being biased, but it's going to be fair. Now, the second thing you're going to come away with at the end of this video is that if white America had an understanding of real history. Now, I'm talking about the history that their own historians, their own researchers and scientists and archaeologists is pointing out about African Americans, about African people. If they had a real understanding of our history, of our culture, then there wouldn't be, you know, this whole divide between, you know, white people and black people. They would respect us more than they do today, because they can see where we came from and what we have accomplished on this planet long before, you know, the Americas was, you know, it came into being. So this is something you're going to come away with, that if white America had this knowledge of our history, or of real history, not just in Africa, but in this country as well, and our accomplishments, then they would see that, you know, we are, one, not so much different, but that African Americans, African people should be a lot more respected than what we are. And I think that it would change a lot of people's perspective on African people if they simply knew the history. So that's something you're going to come away with, because we're going to get into history and what has taken place. You know, what the history books of, you know, white people say, what the research and, you know, the findings of white people is saying about Africans, because they're not talking about this stuff in school. So, you know, when this research when it comes out, when you see this stuff, you can't say that, oh, well, it's just some black person trying to make himself look good. This stuff comes from white scholars, from white researchers, and they are simply telling the truth and showing what the proof says about us. So we're going to get into that. And, you know, lastly, the last thing you're going to come away with in this video is that, you know, white America alone has the power. They have the power. White America alone has the power to fix the racial tension in America. White America alone has the power to fix the relationship between African Americans and the white community, and they've always had the power, but for some reason they choose not to exercise it, and I'm going to point out why in this video. So, you know, it's a lot of things you're going to come away with by the end of this video, but what I want you to come away with most of all is that this is not biased, that this is, you know, strictly based on facts, not emotions, and it's something that, you know, will help, you know, kind of sort of maybe change the emotions of some, white people who might make it through this entire video. But at the same time, it's going to put out a lot of good information that I think, both African Americans and white people need to see. So now, one of the major issues that we have with white America is that they are unwilling to accept or address the past of this country. So you get a lot of white people that say, well, get over slavery, or slavery was years ago, or I ain't have nothing to do with slavery, my family didn't own slaves, and this and that, because they are simply uncomfortable with dealing with that topic. A lot of white people feel guilty when you start bringing up, African American history, when you start talking about civil rights movement and slavery, and because they don't want to go through that emotional trauma of just talking about it, that guilt, then they'll simply tell you, hey, get over it. Stop talking about it. And the reason why we talk about it is because it is directly responsible for the state of African Americans today. And I know before you say, well, times has changed, or that was, hundreds of years ago, how is it affecting y'all today? Before you say that, you need to understand that if after slavery ended, if African Americans was treated with decency, with respect, if we wasn't held back, if we wasn't, subject to racism, if we was compensated for the state that we was in when we came out of slavery, if we was treated equally and had equal rights right after slavery, if we was accepted into society like as normal human beings after slavery, then today we couldn't sit there and say, well, because of slavery. We couldn't sit there and say, well, because of segregation and Jim Crow and, discrimination, we are in the state that we're in. We wouldn't be able to say it's because, oh, well, white people got better schools than us, or it's because white people made all this money during slavery. We won't be able to use these excuses to explain the state of African Americans today if that happened immediately after slavery. If the government would have tried to bridge the gap between, African Americans and white people to try to heal, what took place during slavery, nothing was done. No healing process was done. It wasn't, white America wasn't made to understand what took place. So all of the negative stereotypes, all the emotional feelings that went with the issues that white America had with, black people stayed there. So the hatred, them believing that we didn't have a soul and that we evolved from monkeys, and all these kind of issues that they had with us, it stayed with them and never got resolved. You had people who just grew up hating African Americans, hating African people, and that stuck with him. Nothing was done to fix that. And, obviously we didn't have the best jobs. We struggled, and a lot of people simply starved to death right after slavery because they didn't have that food. So if that didn't happen, if we was treated equally straight out of the box, and we wasn't hunted down by the KKK and hunted down by racist mobs, and if Emmett Till wasn't beaten to death for liking a white woman, if the what happened in the civil rights movement didn't happen in the 60s and all that, if none of that stuff happened, we couldn't stand here today and say, well, it's because of these things that we are in this state. And like I said before, this is one of the problems that we have, because you refuse to acknowledge that this stuff happened. You don't even want to talk about it. You say, get over it. When clearly there are some racist people in power still here, and they are controlling and influencing the progress of African Americans today, and that's obvious. And as I said in that last video that I did about white America's issues with African American community, I pointed that out, and we had white people point that out in that movie, as I put the video of Elizabeth Warren speaking and giving you facts and proof on exactly that this was a government that invested time and money, millions, billions of dollars, into separating African Americans from white people, and to putting us in squalors and making sure that we only had certain jobs and we weren't able to, flourish because of this fear that if we somehow, became successful, that we would simply take over the country. And this obviously wasn't the case, as, African Americans, as the slavery was basically, I don't want to say forgiven, but they kind of was. They didn't get together in big mobs and start attacking white people. It never happened. We didn't form a KKK and start killing white people. That never happened. We simply tried to gain progress in America, and we was held back. And that's what the facts and proof show. But it seems like white America doesn't want to acknowledge that. They simply want us to just shut up about it and stop talking about it. And this is what we point to as the reason why we are in this state.